So don't do what I do and just like half do it. Make sure you do it fully.
Full do it. Full do it.
Hello and welcome to The Edit. We are excited to be here today to talk to you about 10 things you need to start your photography business. And if you notice, I have a little different background, and that is because I'm in Georgia visiting my family, and I am drinking sweet tea out of a mason jar.
That is so perfect.
Perfect. And it's sweet tea is so good, and I miss it. And I could make it myself. I just never think about it when I'm in the winter in Minnesota. So,
well, welcome back to the South. We're so glad to have you,
you,
even though you're not here with me, but you will be soon. But
yes,
yeah,
and we'll get to show Amanda around.
I know. I finally get to make my way out that way. I know for everybody listening and watching, like we are actually getting together in person for the first time since we started this or I guess later this month. We are in April now.
Yes.
Or when this airs, it'll probably be later. But in April, we're all getting together and I'm so excited.
Yeah,
awesome.
same.
Well, we are going to go through, we're each going to take turns sharing 10 different things that you need when you start your business. And Erin actually has a bonus tip that she's going to add at the end. So you'll want to be sure and stay through all of that. And I'm going to start off with tip number 1. And it's a little difficult to say this without sounding too harsh, but you do need to make sure you have professional photography skills. So if you were starting out and you're loving photography and you're shooting and your images are becoming more professional, before you actually start charging people money, you want to make sure that you're consistent, that you can work in all different types of lighting situations, and that if someone's paying you, you're not going to give them subpar quality. The great thing is photography is a skill that can be learned. So if you're not there yet, it's totally fine. Just find some courses, practice more, do a few more sessions for free until you feel really confident. And if you do that, the rest of this is just going to be easy to a point. Yes, to a point. But you're not going to have to stress about if you're messing up, because you'll feel really confident in what you're doing, and you'll feel more confident in charging what you need to charge when you start off. So that is tip number 1.
Yes. Love that. Okay. I've got tip number 2, which is not fun and exciting, but it's business license. If you are going to be charging people money and taking their money, you need to have a business license. The nice thing is before you get started, you can at least start to do stuff for free. But as soon as you're ready, you really need to get that business license. It is very necessary. Unfortunately, that's when you have to start dealing with all the tax implications that come with owning a business. But being legit and having your business license is something that you just need to do. And that is going to be, now it's number 2, because it is that important that you get that taken care of. So finding either, for me, I got help through my accountant who helped me get all set up with my business license. He helped me determine if a sole proprietorship versus an LLC versus what's the other one? S Corp. He helped me figure out which one for me worked. You're going to have to figure out for your state and your taxes what's best for you. So at least in the state of Washington, my accountant told me an LLC was the most protective business license that I could get. And that's what I've got. But again, you need to check with a professional, whether that's a lawyer or an accountant, who can help guide you in the right direction for what sort of business license to get.
And in the state of Tennessee, they just passed something new where, so I've had a business license for 14 years, and there's not been that many changes to the law. I'm helping a friend get her business license right now, and we discovered you don't actually need a business license until you hit 100,000. But if you make between 3,000 and 100K, you need a minimal activity license. So I'm just chiming in to say they are very state specific and ever changing. I mean, not every year, but make sure you have updated information. And so I would go to your state website, Department of Revenue, and county websites to check all of those to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row.
Love it. Yep.
Awesome.
So I have tip number 3, or the third thing that you need, to start your professional photography business. And that is going to be the knowledge, y'all, of your cost of doing business. I'm going to get on a roll in a second. So it is so exciting to start making money doing something that you love. And you just want to jump in and you just want to start charging and making money and putting money back into your business or putting money in your pocket. Well, the first thing that you need to do is know, how much of this money am I actually keeping? How much of this is going back into more gear? How much of it goes to taxes? How much of it needs to pay for a website? There's going to be so many things that you will need to pay for throughout the course of the year and throughout the course of your entire career that add up. And if you are not charging appropriately, you might end up working for free. And that's the last thing that we want you to do. So we will put in the newsletter and on our socials and in description and all of that, we will put a calculator for cost of doing business. We're going to find one that we love, and I'll make sure to include that so that you can plug in all of your numbers and figure out how to actually price yourself profitably.
Awesome. Now, for tip number 4, this is going to be in the gear category. You have to have a backup camera or 2. You need backup cards. You need backup lenses. You need backup everything. And as a wedding photographer, I had several backups of everything, which is absolutely goes into this cost of doing business that we just talked about with Erin. However, even if you're just doing portraits, you still need backup gear. And I'm thinking about, this was actually a few years ago, I photographed a baptism. And when I was waiting to go into the church, I was taking portraits outside and I fell down the stairs.
Oh, Whitney. Oh my gosh.
Embarrassing. And I mean, it was just the whole thing. It was terrible. I like twisted my ankle, all of this. And of course, the thing I'm thinking is, crap, my cameras.
Yeah.
I did. I fell on a camera. I broke my camera. I broke my lens. This was like a quick 2-hour max. And thankfully, I had my backup camera with me. And how embarrassing would that have been?
Yeah.
And terrible for the family. So that this would have been missed. So you absolutely need backup gear.
Yep. I feel like most of us have a horror story of a camera that wasn't working. And yeah, I'm in the same boat. I didn't fall, but I also had a backup camera with me when mine just stopped working. I got an error code and it stopped.
I don't have a camera story, but y'all, I have my battery's dead. I've been shooting so many days in a row and I really thought I had one more battery that was charged, but it turns out I don't. My sweet husband had to bring me a charged battery. I have shown up to a photo shoot before without a camera card because my card holder was sitting on my desk. I am embarrassed to say it, and it has happened. So not just a camera, and you think it's not going to happen to you, and it might. And so, yes. So backup gear, backup cards, backup batteries, all the things, no matter whether you're new or 20 years into it.
Yes, 100%. Yep. The pre-session gear check to me is like, every time I'm like, gosh, why am I doing this? I know I have everything, but it's going to bite me if I don't do it. Yeah. So there we go. Yep, all that. Yep. Okay. So I've got our next thing you need, which is a separate bank account. For tax purposes, for all of your stuff, you really need to have a separate bank account, not your personal one. You go into your bank or credit union, you give them your business, either it's an EIN or your tax ID number. You get all set up with your business for bank account. The game changer that I found that I did last year or the year before that finally was within my business bank account, I had a checking account and then I opened a savings account. The savings account was specifically for me to transfer all the money I was collecting for sales tax on my photo sessions. And I stuck that into my savings account because that way, when it was time, at least in the state of Washington, I think it's now April. It used to be January, everything was due. Now it's in April. And you pay your huge lump sum of what you owe the state, at least for Washington. Again, it's all different based on states. And after a few years of just being like, why is my bank account drained? This is so ridiculous. I was like, you know what? I just need to forget, if you will, that I have this money. It's not mine to spend. It has to go back to the state. So having within my business bank account, having a separate savings that purely was for giving back to the state for sales tax was a huge thing for me, because then when I was looking at how much money I had in my account, I didn't even look at that number because that number is not for me. That's not my money to keep. So for me, that's what I would totally really highly, very, very highly suggest doing, is getting yourself not only the business bank account, but being sure you set aside the money you're collecting for sales tax if your state does require you to pay sales tax.
Yep.
And I have almost finished the book Profit First, and he is a huge advocate of separate accounts, separate banks, and then separate accounts within those banks. And so you just do one login, but you can move your money around. I will say I got myself in trouble when we were at the beach a couple weeks ago. My bank called me, which I thought, oh no, someone's stolen my card. Somebody's, no, she said, your checking account is bounced, but I can see that you have plenty of money in your other accounts. It's because I had been listening to Profit First, but also while I was traveling, and I did not do it correctly. And all of my money was in the wrong account. So, yeah. So she was like, I'm not going to charge you any fees because you have the money. But she was like, so you need to transfer some money and I'll take off these fees.
Is this a local bank? Is this a local bank? Okay.
Yes.
That is so nice. Oh my gosh.
That's really nice.
And I live, it would take me an hour to drive there right now. It was very close to our first home that we bought, which was 2 houses ago. And so it is not really local to me, but I've just never moved because they're fantastic. But yeah, so they waived the fees because I had been trying to do a new Profit First accounting method of moving my money around. So don't do what I do and just like half do it. Make sure you do it fully.
Full do it.
Yeah. But I'm a huge advocate in having your money separate, not just for having the money when you need it, like not accidentally spending your tax money, but for the accounting purposes at the end of the year to be able to go through when you're categorizing everything. And there's no question if it's a personal expense or a business expense, if you have it all in the same business account.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
These are our first 5 tips for starting your photography business. Be sure to subscribe to The Edit so that you're notified when part 2 is released. We share our last 5 tips plus a fun bonus tip from Erin.